Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Today's video we will be rigging our character and animating a simple run pose like this. We will also start off with reducing the poly count of our character so it can port over to a game engine a little easier. This video is a continuation of part 8 where we texture painted and baked our character's diffuse and normal maps. Also, quick shout out to Screamin' Darko on Instagram who made this awesome one-eyed demigod. Also to Pavel Shushenko, a freelance artist over on ArtStation, who did this great rendition of the Handsome Heavy series. The texturing on the minigun is insane. Awesome job. Okay, to start off, I'm going to reduce the poly count a bit. You can see down at the bottom, the model is at about 26,000 triangles, which is a little high for my liking. To take it down, I'm going to remove all the bevel and subdivision surface modifiers that are currently on the objects. I'm also going to apply any mirror modifiers that I have while I'm at it. To further reduce the poly count, I'll remove some edge loops and faces like this. I end up also deleting the tongue, removing loops from the teeth, the eyes, and the back of the belt. Up to you how far you want to take this, obviously. I tinker with this a bit and eventually get it down to about 12,900 tries, which is still a little high, but not bad if he's going to be our main hero in a game. Okay, now onto rigging. Shift A to add a human armature. Over on the right, you can tick the in front option to have it more visible. Now let's scale it up to match our character. Make sure to clear the scale transform if you scale your armature up, as this creates an issue when you go to generate the rig, as you'll see later. I'm going to delete the breastbone here and just start lining it up with the character by tabbing into edit mode. You can turn on X symmetry in the top right corner as well. I'm going to keep things simple and delete the face bones. If you delete these bones, make sure you delete the bone hiding in the head bone here, or else you'll have issues when you go to generate the rig later. Okay, with the bones aligned with our model, it's time to generate the rig. On the right side panel, click the Generate Rig button here. You can see here I get an error about a disjoint bone and chain connect. This happened because while I was moving the bones around, I shifted one of them out of alignment with its parent and I didn't notice. So tabbing into edit mode, you can see here the bone spine.004 isn't lined up with the spine.003 as it is by default. To fix this, select the end of the bone, then Shift S and select To Selected to move the 3D cursor to the end of the bone. Now select the end of the other bone and then up in the Armature menu, select Snap Selection to Cursor. Now the two bones are aligned. Now let's generate the rig again. The rig generates, which is great. But whoops, looks a little small. This happened because I forgot to clear the scale transform of the armature earlier. So undo, clear transforms, and then let's click Generate Rig again. Third time's the charm. There we go, looks good. Now select all the objects of the character and shift select the rig last. Then press Ctrl P and select Automatic Weights. Now let's select the rig and go into pose mode. Now when you move, rotate, or scale all of these different handles, the character moves. You can see the blue amulet thing on his belt isn't moving at all. This is because the automatic weighting didn't work perfectly, which is pretty common. Small adjustments are often needed to the weight paint. To fix this, select the object and then go into the weight paint mode. Now over on the right, scroll through the different bones to see which one is affecting the belt. We can see spine.001 has influence over the belt, which is denoted by the colored heat map. To weight paint, it works much like regular painting. You have different additive, subtractive, and mixing brushes, strength, fall off, etc. Here I'm going to paint the amulet with an additive draw brush with a lower strength of 0.2 until the color matches the surrounding belt. Okay, so it looks similar to the rest of the belt now. Let's test it out. Looks much better. The blue amulet now follows the movement of the hips a lot better. You can test out different handles to see how the automatic weighting turned out and make adjustments at any time. It's good to try and really push the armature to its limits and make sure it's working properly. Here we can see the jaw doesn't follow with the rest of the head very well, so we'll need to do more weight painting here. Selecting the body, then scrolling through the different bones, we can see spine.005 has some influence over the jaw, which is contributing to our issue. Turning on Auto Normalize ensures that your mesh does not have an influence greater than 1 imposed on it by any collection of bones. You can select a subtract brush and remove the influence it has over this part of the mesh as an example of another brush available. We will now select spine.006, which is the head bone, and see this is also contributing to our issue. The head bone does not have a full influence over the jaw, which caused the weird deformation earlier. So with the additive draw brush, strength set to 1, and auto normalize on, we will paint the whole head red. The cooler the color or more blue it is, the less influence a given bone selected over on the right has on the active object. The hotter the color or more red, the more influence. With auto normalize on and strength set to 1 on the brush, this would cause any other bone such as spine.005 to have its influence deleted. We could have thus done without using the subtraction brush earlier. I hope that makes sense and didn't horribly confuse you. Now for the animation. There are lots of great tutorials out there. I'll put a link below to a couple I used. To the animation tab, changing this menu to Action Editor. Let's click New here to create a new action, and I'll call it Run. Going to quickly add a plane to act as the ground. Now let's work on the first stage of the run cycle, which is generally called contact, where the body makes its initial contact with the ground. Moving the left leg forward, turning the ankle up, moving the hips down a bit, moving the right leg back, rotating the ankle and the toe back, putting a little bend in the knee, let's rotate the chest and shoulders forward. Move the left hand back. And move the right hand forward. Now from the front, I'm going to press N on my keyboard and turn on the visibility of the leg tweak handles, these little blue spheres. I'm going to pull them in a bit since his legs look a little too wide. I'm also going to move his feet in a bit by equal amounts by typing in the distance in the bottom left corner. Now the hips, pretty important part to making it look good. Let's rotate them up a bit towards the front left leg, then also rotate them forward towards the left leg. Let's rotate the shoulders the opposite direction of the hips like this. I'm also going to rotate the shoulder handles a little like this to accentuate the movement a bit. Then I'll move the hand a little more in the middle. To close the hand, you can select these long orange handles and press S to scale them in. Then you can adjust them by moving them if needed. Okay, that looks okay for now. Let's make sure our timeline slider is at frame 1, and then press I for the keyframe menu and select Location, Rotation, and Scale. I'm also going to change the end frame here in the bottom right corner to be 8 frames. Now press Ctrl C to copy the current pose, then move the timeline slider to frame 9, 1 past our current animation length. This will ensure we have a smooth looping animation. Then press Shift, Ctrl, and V to paste the pose and flip it on the X-axis. Okay, so now move the slider to frame 5, and we'll work on the passing stage of the run cycle as the feet pass each other, going the other way. Move the left foot back a little bit, and put the toes flat on the ground like this. Then move the right leg a little farther forward and rotate the foot a bit. Move the hips down a bit as well. Once you have your position set, select the foot and hip handles you moved. And then press I to set a keyframe at frame 5. Now to frame 3, we'll work on the down stage, where all the weight of our character comes down. Let's move the left foot into contact with the ground. Flatten the toes a little bit. Then to really give that weight, since he's a big guy, let's move the hips way down. Then the right foot back a bit. Once you're happy with the position, select the handles you moved and then press I again to set a keyframe. Then to frame 8, which is the up stage, where the character is pushing off and springing up. Move the hips up a bit. Right leg up a bit. Left leg down a tad. Select the handles you moved and press I to set a keyframe. To frame 2, let's fine tune a bit. Flattening the foot some more, adjusting the toes. Okay, I'm reasonably happy with that. Now press A in this viewport, then A in the action editor window, then A again over the bone list so that the text all turns white. Then press Ctrl C, move the slider to frame 9, and then press Shift Ctrl V to paste the flipped keyframes. Also, change the end frame from 8 to 16. Then you can press play, and there you have it. one way to rig and animate a lowish poly character for a game engine. I'll put a link down in the description of a good video on how to port this guy over to Unity, as I'm not well versed in the program. Give me a shout on social media. I'd love to see what you guys are doing. I also have my newly created Facebook group where we can share art and ask questions. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it helped, and see you in the next one.